Good morning. I'm Howler Mouse. Then I went and watched a movie. Saw Thunderbolts yesterday with the family, and we're going to do a little talk about it, a little spoiler review there, if you will, right? So, for you people in the future, for you people that are here with me in the present, welcome to a rainy Sunday. This should have been titled my rainy Sunday show, rainy Sunday morning show, because I'm still sleepy. And when it rains on Sundays as a kid, that's when I would get a pile of the stepdads and uncles' comic books before I had my own, pile up on a bed and listen to the rain on the roof as I sit here and explored universes and stuff on pulp paper. Be like John. Go ahead and just like the video. Make sure you're subscribed like John and hit that bell so you're notified when I do this. No other way to put it. It's that simple. I grab the coffee. So you people in the future and in the present, it is, oh man, it's so far, it's been a glorious month with beautiful weather. We are in May 4th, 2025. And I just realized that it's May 4th. So may the 4th be with you for you Star Wars nuts out there. Yesterday was free comic book day for some people. I had zero interest in that yesterday. So I hope a lot of you guys made out with some great stuff. And I also hope that some of you guys made time to actually go see this Thunderbolts movie because I do not want to overhype it, but we are definitely in a step in the right direction to getting things back, right? So, as you can tell from the title of this, I felt like there were two movies going on. And the first movie that was going on in Thunderbolts, I kind of predicted. It's all over my social media and stuff that I was saying that Thunderbolts was actually going to be Suicide Squad versus Superman. To a certain extent, it was there, okay? And then it turned into that the last hour of the movie turned into the Century movie, if you know these characters in these comics. So we've entered the era of Paul Jenkins, Michael Bryan Bendis, pulling from the comics to a certain extent of the 2000s, if you will. And that place is a bit of a minefield in its own, but seeing how they handled the Thunderbolts, they give me a feeling we're going to be all right. But I am skeptical, you know. Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a disaster. It was a mess. Killed interest. Made it. It didn't just kill interest for a lot of people. These movies just become irrelevant. They have the movies from Iron Man, what, 2008, all the way to 2019 with Endgame. And then what they hit us with the Eternals and Quantumania and Kang as the main villain and things like that. They lost a lot of people. Did a lot of stuff that was, pandering to a certain political faction, to the young kids that they thought they wanted and stuff. And now it seems like they are getting away with that. And they actually sent a tiny bit of a clear message in the movie to let us know that we are back to story. You know what I mean? We may have a plan here, right? They hit all the bells and whistles to let us know to a certain extent that we're moving forward here, and there is a plan here, right? So as I talk about the movie spoiler free and I call a few things out, just know that I'm giving this movie a pleasantly surprised for me. The wife absolutely loved it. And the step kid, when he saw the trailer for the Fantastic Four, it turns out that he is he's excited about it. So I was just sort of like, oh, I get it now. I get it now. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe has gone on for so long. There's kids that have grown up with it, and now they feel like they're getting their new beginning. They're getting their Iron Man, which may be with Fantastic Four. Why is it not Thunderbolts? I'll tell you, right? I'll tell you because I feel like this is the movie that was going to gain our trust. Okay. So basically, the plot, you may have heard this plot before. Okay. But the plot is with the Thunderbolts, you have a lot of characters with a lot of ties and influences to the super soldier program with Captain America, right? We have Winter Soldier, we have Red Star, we even have Black Widow to a certain extent, right? Um, and then basically you have Countess. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Let me get her name. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Okay, she is a countess in the comics that was created by Jim Steranko back in those glorious '60s spy days, and became the lover of of Nick Fury. So I'm kind of wondering how we're going to touch on this. And she is played by Ellen from Seinfeld, right? And she is the Amanda Waller. She is the Amanda Waller. She has high power. She sends all these people out on missions because they're all lost and stuff like that. Because basically, the theme in this is even at our lowest points in depression and stuff like that, there is hope if you have friends, if you just hang on and things like that. Okay. And that's what happened. We have oh my god, the ghost. We have the Taskmaster. You know these characters if you've watched this and stuff, right? And I do have to say it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a clean slate, but you did not have to watch the Disney movies for what I saw in this. I did not miss a beat with anything. The Disney television shows, Captain America and Winter Soldier, stuff like that. You're fine if you did not see it, right? But basically, we have Dave Fontaine is older. They had a little clip there where you can see that she used to be a badass, probably a shield agent back in the day. And I'm kind of wondering if they're going to keep the idea that she was Nick Fury's lover in there and stuff, right? But yeah, she showed a little authority there in the movie for a split second if you didn't miss it, especially when the Sentry popped up. So anyway, she is under investigation by the Senate and Congress and the government and stuff. And she is just playing it cool that I have done absolutely nothing wrong. They're accusing her of funds and I think supposedly maybe trying to make a superhero. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is during a big Senate hearing. And then we jump on to where like it's a cleanup crew. It's a cleanup crew. Get everything the hell out of here. I'd rather not be impeached and go to federal prison. But they keep the humor there. And that is one of the criticisms I'll have about the Thunderbolts. All right, what we got here? And Marvel, it's one of those things they need to fix with their movies that they're really going to bring us back in. Greetings, Howler Mouse. Lunchtime, 1:09 p.m. UK time. Lunch sounds absolutely fantastic. I have not even. I've been awake for an hour and haven't even made breakfast yet. So hopefully we can join ourselves. Talk amongst ourselves with beverages here, sir. So, as things move forward, she has sent out a bunch of operatives, and they are our Thunderbolts. And they're all going to convene at the vault out in the middle of a desert on a plateau, just standing there. I don't know how you wouldn't notice it, but it's not well hidden. There's a building on top of it. The plateau is so big, they actually have a spiral dirt road going on the top of it. I was waiting for aliens to come down and start playing music with us and stuff. And, the Black Widow gets there and she is there to like take out, and get rid of anything that is going to get her in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Dave Fontaine, and there's the Ghost there, and there's Johnny Walker, the U.S. agent there, which they did a pretty good job with. And they did start avoiding things that I think has hurt them, right? All these movies and stuff, right? It did not feel like I even feel weird using this term because to me it's dated. I'm like, what year is it? It's 2025. All this stuff should have like quit back in the 2000 teens. I mean, but anyway, they were very close. This girl boss thing, Mary Sue thing, where you have females who are perfect characters and all the men are idiots or make them victims and stuff. They rode the fine line there and they kind of pulled off from it. I felt it kind of going away as the movie went on. And the Taskmaster is there. So for you people who may not remember the disaster that they did with the Taskmaster is a George Perez, I want to say David Michelinie, maybe Roger Stern creation in comics. I think it was Avengers 198. And this character, I hate to use the word muscle memory, but Taskmaster could watch Captain America fight and use his shield, and his brain was able to make in his body were able to mimic that perfectly. And then he could watch Hawkeye become the greatest archer. You know what I mean? He could watch Bruce Lee and know kung fu, things like that. So everybody was excited that we were going to get the Taskmaster. That was the magic of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for well over a decade, is these little Easter eggs and characters that you never thought you would see that they actually sometimes improved on from the comic to make them work. So they ended up messing that up and made him it female. It looked male, and then it would take off its mask, and turns out it was sort of armor, and it was female, and the value of the book crashed. Well, it's still worth a little bit, but it went down, and it just sort of sucked the air out of the theaters when people who knew the character and were excited about it saw that. So this plot is starting to sound familiar if I stick to guns, right? So basically, they are hired by somebody who is in charge of the government. For a half a second, you think maybe they're not the bad guy, and then they run across Bob, who is the sentry, and he doesn't. He comes off like a normal guy, but we start seeing people are as they're trapped in the vault, and they're fighting each other. They turn around and they end up. Yeah, I'm getting back on track here. So anyway, they're all standing there, and now there's more than one agent there, and they're like, "I'm here to take you out. I'm here to take you out. No, I'm here to take you out." And they all figure out they've all been sent by Fontaine to take each other out, right? Very Amanda Waller like, and that's who Fontaine is. Fontaine is Amanda Waller, right? And the Taskmaster is there, and they end up slipknotting. If you saw this movie, the Taskmaster right away, one single bullet to the head, Taskmaster is down, right? So to me, okay, there's a lot of great writing here to where there's messages being sent to the viewer if you really wanted to go deep down into it, right? Here we are in the pit of a slow moving movie right now, and we're going to kill everything that is here, and we're going to kind of apologize for some of the bad decisions with these characters we make by killing the Taskmaster here. And if they don't get out, they're all trapped in the vault, because if they don't get out, the plan was they would take each other out, Reservoir Dog style, I guess, and then all of a sudden there would be a inferno in this room. It was sealed, right? There was little ways to keep ghosts characters in there, and it was they had like, see, that this was, I know this is a superhero movie. I know it's supposed to be a movie. We're supposed to have tension and stuff, right? But they have an incinerator, with within this little vault here, and it's got to warm up before it can blow everything up and burn everything, right? So they have to get out of there. This felt like a Batman 1966 movie here for about 2 minutes and stuff as the countdown went on. It had actual countdown letting you know when the incinerator was going to go off. My problem with that was if this is an incinerator and they're going to burn everything in there, why would you put a timer inside of the incinerator? It makes no sense. But anyway, so they're all like despicable, and they're like, "You won't come back for us if we help you get out. You're not going to open the door to get us out of the incinerator and all this stuff." And they went on and on and on. So you got a bunch of dastardly people sitting here. Now this is what I predicted the movie to be. I was predicting the movie. That's why I keep holding this to be Suicide Squad versus Superman. This is Marvel's version. The trailer led you to believe it. The James Gunn humor was there, and just they even had like they even went for some pop music in it, a la Guardians of the Galaxy in a James Gunn movie, right? All right, John, I'm going to have to check out this movie. I assumed it wouldn't be very good based on the most recent Marvel movies. I underestimated it. Well, don't overestimate it. Let me get through here, because I think I found a way to describe what they're doing here with this movie, so you don't get all hyped up and make a more informed decision. Um, so basically, then to get out of the vault, okay, as you see this plateau in, they have a single tunnel, okay, that is vertical. And I knew what they were going to do to get out of there. It's straight up, straight down. Um, just a whale. It looks like a gigantic whale. And all of a sudden they're doing trust exercises. They get arm in arm and they're all walking up this thing. All right. And to me, the way I was reading this, it was like we've taken the Marvel Cinematic Universe to a new low, and now we're working our way out. We're earning our way up. We got nowhere to go but up, folks. And we get up here, and they make it out, and we finally get some action. Because for a little bit, I was like, how long are we going to be in this vault? Now, talking about this little vault here and stuff, you got Bob coming out. Bob, if you know who the Sentry is in comics and you saw the trailer, you knew who Bob was, right? But Bob came off like he was real clean cut, looked very healthy, low self esteem. I kind of apologize with everybody. If you know the story of the Sentry and the Void, it's a lot of emotion, if you will, right? But the Sentry is sort of like an all powerful Superman to a certain extent. And it's exactly what he was supposed to be. I still have the Wizard magazine where Marvel claimed back in 2000, 2001 that they had found this superhero in a desk drawer that was created back in the Silver Age. And they tried to pull him off like the Sentry had been around. They did a mini series where they stuck him in there, and the whole mystery is why does nobody remember the Sentry? Because there's a creature called the Void that will, I don't know what, destroy the Earth or something. I don't remember. We're going back 25 years or less, and Bendis brought him in and things like that. So that there's something going on with Bob if you don't know all the comic books and stuff, and you're just a viewer. So they did a really good job with that. Bob was actually kind of likable. You felt for him. He talked about being a meth head. He was like, I don't remember anything here. I just know I was, got volunteered for a medical experiment. There's a lot of cool stuff there, right? But what kills me is that if you go back and you watch the which movie do I want to do? Winter Soldier, even Civil War a little bit, the Captain America trilogy and stuff. Perfect tone, and the tones of the movies were of the Marvel movies up until Guardians of the Galaxy and a little bit after. If there was humor, it was appropriate. Spider-Man is supposed to crack you up a little bit, right? Winter Soldier is not, and things like that, right? So we're not supposed to have all this humor in there, and they've adopted the James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy humor and put it everywhere. That just kills a lot of it for me. Uh, that the tone of this was uneven because of that, right? But that might be me nitpicking. This could be your thing. Like I said, the stepwife and the kid, not into comics, got a kick out of it. My wife is not a comic book fan; she's a manga fan, anime fan, and she loves the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? But she will call out crap when she sees crap. She's not a complete mark for it. So anyway, we get outside of the vault. They're finally on the first floor of the vault. We get outside of the vault, and somehow uh, Elaine, I'm going to call her Elaine. It's Dave Fontaine, but Elaine from Seinfeld has somehow gone from this. Maybe I need to watch the movie, but she has gone from this benefit dinner with Congress and stuff, and having a stare down with a congressman who's coming after her, trying to prove that she's doing all these wasting of funds and things like that, and experimenting on people. Somehow she gets there and is teleported to the vault real quick. I don't know, but there's this mass army there. The army is there. Some kind of military is there, and they've got helicopters, and trucks, and everything, and they got their gas masks on. And our Johnny Walker is our survivalist, and he's been to wars, and he's got problems about. He keeps saying that he has a kid. They're not going to do anything to me. They're going to do stuff to you, and he's got his own problems. But anyway, I won't tell you how they get out, but they get out, and there's a little bit of trust. And all of a sudden, right when they're going to be caught, they're almost out. They're almost out. All of a sudden, Bob steps up and he starts yelling, "Hey, here I am!" He gets a gun. He's shooting the gun. He's up against the door of the vault, and they unload on him. And this is where Dave Fontaine, Ellen, comes up, and for a split second, the sheriff from True Blood apparently is giving the orders. Yeah, I can't remember that actor's name, but he was the sheriff from True Blood. My wife loves True Blood. When I showed her the show, it changed her life, I think. She changed, guys. She changed. And she comes in there, she does a little throat punch or something, right? She smacks him around so quick, you're just sort of like, oh, she's got moves. And I was like, shield training, shield training. I'm like, there it is. There's the Jim Steranko, Emma Peel stuff in there. Great stuff. Yes. What do we got here? Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, good morning. Bringing some positive energy here after getting a negative comment. Someone was mad at the ad lib in our readings. Well, that person just is having a sad day apparently, man. That's how can you get mad about an ad lib in a comic book when they butchered a lot of comic books in the movies? That's amazing. Century Board shared a body in the comics, didn't they? Yeah. Now I would love to be Hallerpedia and go into the Century and take it all apart for you and talk about it. But I haven't read anything about the Sentry since Bendis had the Sentry in New Avengers and had him just unceremoniously rip the Molecule Man in half. Right? He's like, that's how I can do what I do. I control molecules. Um, all right, so we're talking possibly 20 years since I've read Sentry. But yeah. To have Sentry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and to see how they did translated that, they did a fantastic job. I mean, they really did. They didn't really drag it out. You may be leaving wishing you had more of that. I heard to defeat the Void when the Flash shows up and takes off the mask, telling the villain he is Barry Allen and that he cares. Not too far off, but anyway. So okay. So just to recap for people who are coming in here, the okay, Dave Fontaine, who is Amanda Waller, has sent out agents out who are very bad people who've decided to start teaming up because now we have the shadow, the Sentry, who has a shadowy presence and stuff coming in, much like the Enchantress did. Who they are getting ready to fight the Void, basically, of what's going to go on, Sentry and the Void. And much like they were fighting the Enchantress in her shadowy appearance and things like that. So, yeah, the first two-thirds of the movie is basically Suicide Squad versus Superman. And that's what I predicted from the get-go, right? But anyway, so they get out, they're walking through the desert, and then here comes that humor I'm talking about, but it works, man. The Red Star, I'm still calling her the White Widow because Scarlett Johansson was the Black Widow, but Florence Pugh, David Harbour plays her dad. David Harbour was in Stranger Things, and funnily enough, guys, is in the Suicide Squad movie, right? This is the pre-James Gunn one. This is the first one. Dave Harbour is there and stuff, and he's scene stiller. Okay, he's as much as I like want to criticize the humor in these Marvel Cinematic universe movies and stuff. He pulled it off. He was cool, right? He comes out and turns out he's a limo driver, and just to tell you how convenient this is. He finds out that our Suicide Squad, our Thunderbolts, are going to end up being incinerated in the vault because his limo service, that he is the limo service, pulls up and he has Dave Fontaine, Ellen from Seinfeld, and her assistant in the back seat, just really talking about like, yeah, we're gonna burn them all. So he drove from wherever he was in that, and he's able to find them in the middle of the desert by just flying through the desert in his limo, honking the horn, and he actually finds three of them. Okay, so, you know what I mean? You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. You know what I mean? It's all fun. So they get in the limo. They're all talking. What are we going to do? And then all of a sudden, there's three trucks on top of them. After they ironically like, we're free and clear. They're not going to expect a limo to come find you guys. And who comes in for the save but the Winter Soldier? And I'm like, here we go, right? This should have been the Winter Soldier movie, right? This should have been the Winter Soldier movie, right? Red Star, if you know the comic books, he was Russia's attempt of having a Captain America. And then you had the Winter Soldier, who was retcon. It's Bucky from the 2000s and stuff, right? Bucky comes in riding a motorcycle, and we get a taste. We get a taste of that pre-in-game era where I'm like, we're back. I'm sitting here going, that's how he killed Iron Man's parents there. Things like that. I was like, we're back. The tone changed and everything, right? And just when he saves them and they're all cheering and stuff like that, he takes them out and he's bringing them in to take down Dave Fontaine, right? You guys are going to be all of this. But then they know about Bob. Bob was not supposed to have survived. Nobody knows that Bob is there. And I'm playing with the idea of like, oh, they've all really forgot the Sentry to a certain extent. Like they know they find paperwork. They find the paperwork that's conveniently laid out in the vault and stuff like that of the character designs and the costume designs and sort of what they're doing with Bob. But Bob wasn't supposed to be there. So, due to Bob being there and doing what he does, acting like Superman and everything like that with his powers, he decides to unshackle this group of misfits, and they're all going to work together with Bob about taking down Bob now. The Sentry. He's not called the Sentry yet. Meanwhile, the lady Ellen from Seinfeld, makes herself look all motherly, sort of. Bob wakes up in a bed after crashing to Earth. Let's put it that way. He had agoraphobia. He actually flew up into the air and then he passed out from his agoraphobia. And you also find out they have a kill switch in his head to blow him up, a la Suicide Squad. Okay. So they bring him in, they trust him in, they're working on that self-esteem and stuff, and she's talking to him and stuff, right? So our Thunderbolts, who are now named or not named after the White Widow's girls soccer team when she was a kid, which, yeah, you didn't get a flashback of that. Um, I don't know how she was on a girls' soccer team when you clearly saw that she was like being trained as from a child to be an assassin, but apparently they played soccer. Who knows? Um, they're like, no, we're not going to call ourselves that. They actually go to Stark Tower, where the Avengers headquarters was and everything. Dave Fontaine has bought it. I mean, she has bought it. So now she is walking around in the great room where all the fights happen, where Loki showed up, where we saw America's ass. And our Thunderbolts pop up. And I loved it because like this was like Legion of Substitute Hero style, right? This was all reckless in what we have. But they were like, how are you going to get in there? How are we going to get into the building to get Dave Fontaine? How they knew she was there, I don't know. But anyway, they drive through New York in the limo and they just crash straight into the lobby. And they come out and they're kicking ass and stuff. And Dave Fontaine, Ellen, comes on the speaker. You're messing up my drywall. I just had that put in. I left the door unlocked. Come on up. So they all just ride the elevator up. She was expecting them. And that's where we get the first part of the movie till we get to the second part of the movie. The second movie, this is the end of the first movie that I feel is in there. I feel like it's two different movies. This is the one I kind of predicted. All right, this was going to be, Suicide Squad versus Superman, and that's what we're getting. Because the Sentry comes out and he's now dyed his hair blonde because we don't want him to have his black hair, so he looks like we don't want him to look like Superman too much. And he comes up and he pretty much, we have the super speed, we have the telekinesis, we've got the powers going on. He's handing them their ass. He gets the U.S. agent Johnny Walker's shield and just wraps it into a taco around his arm. He's throwing people out windows, pulling them back. You got your action scene. We got thrown a bone here. We've got our superheroes fighting because it's what they do in Marvel. What we got here? Suicide Squad, James Gunn, the Suicide Squad. A little bit of both. A little bit of both. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying they own it, right? Well, look here. Yelena is actually called White Widow in the newer Marvel comics. That's where I'm going with that. Yeah. Was it Deadly Assassin soccer training? Well, apparently we didn't get that because we were also robbed of a few things, right? So anyway, our Thunderbolts get their ass handed to them, and they're actually allowed to walk out. So while Ellen is sitting there talking to the Sentry, and he's supposed to be working for her, he starts realizing he's like, wait a minute, you said that I am more powerful than all the Avengers combined, and they had a God of Thunder, which makes me more powerful than a God of Thunder. And he decides he doesn't need to work for her anymore. So they have a kill switch, right? Well, he gets a lane, he super speed, grabs her by the neck, and he puts her against the wall with a broken window right beside of her, and he's talking shit. And her assistant comes up from behind and does the kill switch stuff, right? Guys, I'm telling you, if you know your stuff, if you've watched all the stuff, there were bits and pieces where I felt like I was watching Batman 1966 here and there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. So what gets me is Johnny Walker has kept his shield, even though it's wrapped around his arm and stuff like that. I mean, he can take it off, and he's still walking around like he wishes he could have his arm and stuff. And just when we think, the movie is going to go one way, it turns out that the Sentry, now that we think he is dead, it turns out this allows the Void to take over, and we get this shadowy figure just standing a la Brightburn, just floating above New York, looking at everybody. And of course, he starts messing things up. And on the city street, he ends up taking down helicopters, people on the street. There's big debris falling and everything like that. And the Thunderbolts rise to the occasion, and they start saving civilians from falling debris. And trucks and cars and trucks are looking up, flying down the little roads of New York and stuff. And just when we think they've saved all the people, they start getting clapped. People are clapping for them. Our little band of misfits and villains and the deadly assassins and people who have killed tons of people are being clapped by people in the streets. And just when the Red Star is looking at this little girl, like, thank you, mister, for saving my life, poof, she disappears into black smoke. The Void now has this big shadow creeping out over all of New York. And where are they going? Throughout the movie, whenever the Thunderbolts were in the vault and stuff and they were passing out, they were having memories. They would pass out and they would wake up, and Bob would be holding them, touching them, a little hand on the wrist or something like that. And he would appear in their darkest memories. He did that with Johnny Walker. He did it with, it was foreshadowing, people. There were some writing techniques in this. It was foreshadowing. So he is there, and I guess the shadowy creature, the void, not only feeds off of your depression and hopelessness and things like that, he also feeds into it. So I guess it's symbiotic. So as all these people in all of New York are disappearing, I'm thinking, man, they're doing the blip again. So and we all know the reputation of that New York has of everybody being pretty much rude and out for themselves or whatever. That has not been my experience. You do have to be tough to live there. So don't let me, let's not, fall into a stereotype of, the average person in New York. But let's face it, there are some, you got to be tough to live there. You know what I'm saying? I've met many people who grew up in New York, moved down here, and they're like, that place will drive you crazy. So as this shadow goes around and everybody's disappearing into the smoke, you don't know if they're alive or not, but they're in the void. And of course, we have our White Widow decides to, you know what? I'm going in. They're like, no, everybody, they think she's dead. And Johnny Walker's able to remind people now. They didn't tell anybody through the whole movie, like I didn't tell you guys. See how ridiculous that is? How that Bob was in my dreams, in my memories and stuff. Bob was there. So now they're walking around, which I can only think, thanks to David being there, the Stranger Things dude or whatever his name is, sort of like the Upside Down. It looks exactly like us, but it's people's memories and stuff, right? And I got to tell you, this is where we were robbed, right? We were robbed. We get to see, like I said, we saw Johnny Walker with what's making him feel bad, his worst day. We get to see Bob's worst day, the White Widow's worst day. But they all finally come together in this, right? All the Thunderbolts find each other in the void, in an attic of all places of Bob's home, and they kind of turn around, they look at the Winter Soldier, and they're like, "What did you see?" And he's like, "Oh, I had a great life. It's a piece of cake." I'm like, "We got robbed of seeing the Winter Soldier fight himself." Like I want to see a doppelganger fight or something, right? Of Winter Soldier as the mindless assassin or whatever. You know what I'm saying. His dark half, right? We really got robbed. And that's the, I don't know, second or third criticism I have. This really should have been more of a Winter Soldier centric movie than the White Widow. It really should have. And that's why I'm finally glad they're kind of moving away from it. Felt like they're moving away from this girl boss Mary Sue thing and all the stuff that they did. For you guys that are just popping in, I said that they took out Taskmaster really quick, much like they did Slipknot in the original Suicide Squad movie. And to me, that was this message to the viewers that we messed up this character, we gender changed this character, did some messed up stuff to the great Taskmaster, and bam, no mess, no fuss, it's dead. That's not where we're going. And they crawled out through a big tunnel from the depths, telling me that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has nowhere to go but up. I feel like there's some there. I really do feel like that was the message with this, right? So now they get in there, and somebody was talking about the Flash and how they're going to beat them. Well, they get in there, and Bob decides to take on the Void because he has all the Thunderbolts pinned and defeated in the Void and stuff. And he runs up and he's beating the shit out of the Void, and the Void is just laughing. If you want to know what the Void looks like, go watch a 80s video of a 70s song by The Cure called "Boys Don't Cry." And as you have the little kids playing in the band, these dark shadows come up with red eyes or playing behind them. You know, that's kind of that's what the Void looked like, except his eyes were white. So as he's beating him, you can see the Void slowly taking over Bob. It's starting at his feet and it's working its way up, and he's giving in, and the Void's getting him, and they're starting to figure out that this is what the Void wanted. Well, Bob ran out there to fight the Void because all of them were trapped and pinned, and all of a sudden one person is able to get out, and then they're all able to get out. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You just watch it. Maybe I was just like, okay. So how do they do it? They all hug Bob. They all give Bob a big hug while he's crying and all this stuff, right? Um, now, and then there we are, right? And when they come out of it, all the people start appearing in New York again. They're back on the street. They make sure that we see the little girl that disappeared, the little 7-year-old little girl. We make sure she appears. I'm suspected that. I knew that was going to happen. It is Disney. They want us to know. Your movies have got to have stakes. People can die. You got to feel that tension and stuff. But they're not going to let a little kid do that for you. It's Disney. It's still Disney, right? So anyway, they look down the street, and lo and behold, at the end of the street, in front of like some kind of weird curtain going across this going across the road. Maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe it was a truck built. In my mind, it was a curtain, right? There's Valentina de Fontaine there, all of nowhere, just on the street. And they're like, get her. So she jumps in between the freaking curtain and she's like, no, no, no. And when they come out, all the Thunderbolts magically, after everybody has just in New York has been in the void and they all instantly just return, nobody seems to be traumatized from their experience in the void. And there's a press conference waiting. 30 seconds after coming out of the void, there's a press conference there, right? And she's already at a podium with a podium set up, and the Thunderbolts looking at each other, and she announces these are the new Avengers. And I'm like, oh God, they're going Dark Avengers, New Avengers, Bendis years. I'm like, oh no, this could be bad. But we'll see where they go with it. We'll see where they go with it. So yes, the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. Okay, and so as they're kind of looking at each other and going with this, the White Widow goes up and with the microphones right here, she gets into Del Fontaine's ear and goes, "We own you now." And I'm sort of like, "You're behind the microphones. They would have. So they can hear that crap, you know." So yeah, there's a few things they just did to move the story along, so don't take it apart. But I was just like, "Oh my god!" All right. So yeah, that's pretty much my spoiler review. I mean, we can there's end credits to talk about and a few things to talk about, but let's see what we have here, man. Ask your questions before we move on here, guys. Yeah. Oh, what we got here? Symbiotic. Here comes the MCU. No, Geeky Puppet shows all over this. Is it true that Matt Pat makes a cameo in Thunderbolts? I don't know. I didn't see him. Um, doesn't mean he's not there. Crawling up. Let's see if you still feel that way after watching Fantastic Four. I've got something to say about that. Yeah, yeah. I've said something at the beginning, but I'll repeat what I said here. That's funny. I don't know if I'm gonna go see the Fantastic Four here. Maybe Kingpin just needs a hug. Yeah. So anyway, an imperfect movie. We're gonna. I'm not done with the review, but this is where we're at. So here's what I think of the movie. Right. To me, I feel like they have wiped the slate clean. Forget all about Phase Four. Forget about your Eternals. Forget about Kang. And I'm on record of saying Kang was the stupidest, most stupid, however your grammar wants to. You look at that character they could have done. I'm so glad that we're done with that and have moved on. Bring back Loki. Over 8,000 characters in the Marvel universe. You can find better ones. I know Doctor Doom is coming. We got things coming up. But this movie, like I said, was two movies. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad versus Superman. And but to me, this is like an intro. It's a soft intro to a song that's going to build to a crescendo, right? I don't feel like this is the beginning of a new storyline that's coming up. I think that's going to be Fantastic Four, but this is the intro. This is where it's not super dynamic. Okay, it's still soft music coming in, right? Think of it like a Beethoven song or something that comes in nice and soft. And then I think the next couple movies are going to be the dun 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 dun, where they come in. You know what I'm saying? This is coming in with like little violins and stuff. Not super dynamic, very soft. I think it's a soft movie, right? I give this thing like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7, if I wasn't so splitting hairs with a few things. So with me, it's about a 6 out of 10. It's an average movie that broke a formula, and it was two movies, and it was a little predictable for me. But anybody else who doesn't know the comics and gets in there and stuff, I would say it's a 7 for them. I really would, right? So yeah, it gives you hope that they're getting back on track, right? Um, now, what's coming up this summer? Because this will have to do with the end credit scene, right? But this is the summer. In about 2 months, guys, we are going to have a Superman movie by James Gunn, who is involved in the MCU and a lot of the actors that are going to be in there. And we're going to have a Fantastic Four movie, right? I am up in the air, right, about here we go. I'm up in the air about seeing, you recognize this, the female Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four movie, right? The Fox movies, they hurt me, but they got some things right. I had a Fantastic Four movie. I even saw the 90s movie that they did, that the people involved didn't know it wasn't a real movie. It was just something to keep the rights to the Fantastic Four, the Roger Corman stuff. And then I skipped the 2000 teens movie. You know what I mean? Like I could tell that was a disaster, right? And so they have a few things already there with the Fantastic Four that I was like, I'm out. Pedro Pascal. They had the Invisible Woman actress coming out and saying that they're going to be playing with gender identity stuff or whatever. And I'm like, oh God, everybody's so sick of this stuff, right? Nobody cares, right? Give us a Fantastic Four movie. And then we had the female Silver Surfer, and there are people who are reaching out there online saying this universe gets destroyed, and they come to the Marvel universe, and we're going to get a proper Silver Surfer. There's nothing there to make you think that. There's nothing there to make you think that. There have been no announcements, no actors, no anything. As of right now, there is zero proof that is going to happen. Right? Any of that. Right? It sounds predictable, and we know that the Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU. Right? But to have the Marvel, But anyway, let's get through the end credit scenes, and we'll get to Fantastic Fours. Oh, what we got here? Yeah, I'm with you, Howler Mouse. Right, cool, right? Yeah. Forget about Captain America 4. Yeah, right. That's what I'm trying to get at. That never happened. Yeah, with you, Howler Mouse. Yeah. So the mid-credit scene, I'll just go ahead and give it to you. The mid-credit scene is at the Thunderbolts. There was a joke somewhere in the movie about them being on a box of Wheaties, right? The thumbnail for this is from that. People saw that before. Well, it takes place in the future a little bit, right? I want to say it's almost 14 months in the future. I don't know about that mid-credit scene, but Red Star has grown his hair out and he's got some swag, and he's hanging out in a grocery store, and there's a chick sitting there shopping, and he keeps like eyeballing the cereal trying to get her to look. And if he wasn't so funny, it would have been very, very creepy. You know what I mean? He's trying to show off stuff, and he hands her the box of Wheaties that the Thunderbolts are on. I am wanting to go to the store now that I'm talking to you guys, and it just dawned on me. I wonder if they're going to do that in real life. Really had go to the store, and we're really going to see the Thunderbolts on a box of Wheaties. Screw those Olympians. I'm like, I mean, come on, man. But anyway, uh, so anyway, the girl just kind of like, okay, thank you. And he's trying to look all proud. He's trying to use this Thunderbolt swag to, get a date. And as she turns around the corner, she takes the box, sets it down, and goes around. Ha ha, we get a laugh. We've got it's one of those things where we have a guy who's a complete idiot in the store getting owned by, a woman because he's being creepy. I was like, oh God, can we just stop seeing this stuff? It's not that I'm sensitive to it. It's just that I'm tired of seeing it in everything. I can tell you all the TV shows and things like that. I'm like, oh, even my wife's sick of it, right? But then we get to the end credit scene, right? And my stepson was very excited, right? And it's real simple, right? So basically, that definitely says 14 months ahead. I read somewhere that they shot this recently on the Doomsday movie set, the Avengers Doomsday movie set. So it's kind of like they pulled these characters to the side and said, let's do this, right? So we're 14 months into the future. Everybody has different hairstyles. They've been the Avengers for a while. And I'm going to back up here a little bit, right? When they announced the Thunderbolts as the Avengers, they did some very cool things for the beginning credits leading up to that mid credit. You saw like Rolling Stone magazine, New York Post, everybody's going, Avengers? Really? Huh? They had the same reaction in the news of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to these guys being the Avengers as the audience did. Really? These assholes? That's what I'm getting at, right? So that was a nice touch when you acknowledge that even they acknowledged like what they give it a WTF, if you will, right? So anyway, we get to the end credit scene. The Avengers are all talking. Apparently, they're kind of split. We have apparently there's going to be some kind of big showdown between Sam. I don't know if I don't think it's going to be a fight. Sam, well, who knows? Winter Soldier downplays so much, you just don't know. But Winter Soldier and Sam apparently got into it, and he's trademarked the name Avengers. Sam has, and he's pretty much forming his own Avengers. And it's going to I was going through thinking as we were driving home and stuff about who's left out there to be an Avenger. And I've come up with like oh my God, Shang-Chi, these assholes online and stuff like that. Shang-Chi, I'm trying to think of the rest of them. We came with quite a few names and stuff, right? And it's all like Bendis era. It's all street level guys, not real powerful guys. There's no Thor. There's no icon like Captain America. There's no Iron Man, the Foundation, the way they pulled this off and stuff. There's Ant-Man still out there and things like that. So I guess they're trying to make their characters street level and weak as possible so that Doctor Doom can actually be a real threat if that's where they're going with this. Your villain needs to be more powerful than your hero and be able to do that to make your hero seem more heroic, where they go against insurmountable odds. That's part of the formula, guys. So I don't know. I hope that's what they're doing. But they've gotten me interested again, as you can tell. So we get to the end credit scene. Still, they're talking. Sam's doing his own Avengers and he's doing this and he's doing that. And I'm like, please don't rehash Civil War. We've already had that. You know what I mean? But all of a sudden they get like the Super Friends monitor goes off or something, and they turn to the monitor and they're like, "What's that?" It's a multi-dimensional opening portal has opened up. And they're like, "What is that?" All of a sudden you hear someone of them, probably Red Star, sit there and go, "Oh, that's a cool ship." And I heard this is on YouTube. Now that I think about it, I think I heard when we were leaving the theater. I think I heard somebody say they saw that on YouTube already. So the end scene maybe on YouTube. But anyway, and all of a sudden it's like a black and white version, and it's like the 60s ship. It's got its tip. It's got a yeah, it goes this way and gets sharp, and then it has its four rockets, and as it turned, we see the number four on it. And the Fantastic Four are coming to our Earth and stuff, right? They're even in black and white with those satellite pictures. So the Fantastic Four are coming, right? So what I'm hoping with the Fantastic Four movie coming, I don't have high hopes, right? I've got low hopes. I feel like right now, and this could change, I feel like right now that they're going to have a huge weekend. And depending on what they do in that movie, if they go full Pedro Pascal, if they do the gender stuff, if they do all this stuff they're talking about and don't leave it behind and move forward, word of mouth is going to kill the movie by the second and third weekend, right? Or it's going to be great. They've already got so many strikes against them right now that we're in a little we're in a little unknown area here, right? We've already seen the Marvels flop and other things flop, so it is in the realm of possibility. But thanks to what they're doing with the Thunderbolts, kind of resetting the tone. This is a prequel to a new start. This is setting a tone and showing that we're there. This is the intro to the soft music. So now we'll have to see if the Fantastic Four is really like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? We're going to see if this builds to a new crescendo. All right. All right. I can't wait for the new Superman movie. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the new Superman movie. I don't have that little kid excitement that I did, but I'm definitely feeling it better than the Fantastic Four, more than the Fantastic Four with my excitement, right? Marvel has just the phase four of Marvel has just they got to build some trust and excitement back in their audience. There's no doubt about it. But what a great time if you not be so cynical. But what a great time to, and I said this in a couple shows back. What a great time to be alive that in the year 2025, the summer of 2025, we are getting a Superman movie that is more comic accurate than probably any other movies. And we're getting a Fantastic Four movie that at least has the aesthetic of the 60s, the period piece feel to it. We have the brow on the thing, right? So there's a lot of positives and stuff like that. Let's just hope they just keep moving in the right direction to build these movies back up, because this is a great time. This could be a great time. We were spoiled. We were spoiled with those first three phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? They did it. You know what I mean? They did it. They made this movie universe. They crossed over the movies. They had a continuity. And then they just sort of it floundered, So, and then the DC stuff is what the DC stuff is. I think the DC stuff really suffered from trying to have expectations of what Marvel accomplished and stuff. So hopefully they're just going to do their own thing now. So we'll see what happens. And if you want me to, I'll probably do reviews definitely of Superman when it comes out. Fantastic Four, we'll see, right? All right, guys, everybody have a great day. Thanks for popping in here, and be excellent to each other. Oh, yeah, and make sure you like the video and subscribe and hit that bell. Now be excellent to each other.